Hey there, pirates! Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. Chapter 1138 brought incredible revelations. The story of Shanks has been revealed, and now we know how he joined Goldie Roger, the Pirate King. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Guys, One Piece. Chapter 1138 delivered a revelation that no one, and at the same time, everyone expected. But when we analyze the details, it makes perfect sense within the narrative that has been built over the years. The revelation that Shanks has a twin brother, Figurland Shamrock, completely changes our perception not only of Shanks, but also of his true role in the world and his connection to the world government. This might be one of the biggest plot twists in the series, because it directly affects the story of one of the most mysterious and influential characters in One Piece. Since Shanks was introduced in Chapter 1, he has always carried an enigmatic aura, being the one who inspired Luffy to become a pirate. The only thing we knew for sure was that he was part of Roger's crew as a child, and somehow became one of the Yonko. But his past has always been a mystery. When Oda introduced the Figurland lineage in One Piece film Red, many already suspected that Shanks could be connected to the Celestial Dragons. However, Chapter 1138 not only confirmed this, but also revealed that he has a brother who remains loyal to the world government. Perhaps the most important detail in this chapter is the dialogue between Loki and Shamrock. When Loki questions how someone with Shanks' face could be a celestial dragon, Shamrock does not hesitate to respond that Shanks is his younger twin brother, but that he chose to live in this filthy lower world. This detail changes everything because it confirms that Shanks is not just a former world noble. He had the option to return to Mary Joyce and refused. This raises several questions. Why did Shanks choose to live as a pirate? When did he discover his origins? And most importantly, what is his relationship with the world government now? Another interesting point is that Shamrock mentions that Shanks returned to Mary Joyce once. This could mean that at some point in the past, he considered rejoining his family, or at least trying to understand his origins better. Maybe it was something related to Roger's disappearance, or even the beginning of his journey as a captain. This could also explain why Shanks seems to have a certain level of respect for the world government, despite being a pirate. Perhaps he has information that makes him believe a direct conflict with them is not the best option. The introduction of Shamrock also creates an interesting contrast to Shanks. While Shanks became a pirate, Shamrock took the opposite path and became the leader of the Holy Knights. If we analyze the structure of the villains in One Piece, it is common for Oda to create rivals who are reflections of the protagonists with opposing philosophies. Shamrock could be exactly that for Shanks. Not only does he share his appearance, but he also holds a position of power that could challenge everything Shanks has built. The chapter also gave us a better idea of Shamrock's power. His attack on Loki, using his three-headed dog, Cerberus, showed that he possesses terrifying abilities. I believe the way he used his sword to summon Cerberus could indicate that he has an Akuma no Mi or a power related to some secret technique of the Celestial Dragons. The way he treats Loki, one of Elbaf's most powerful warriors, also indicates that he does not see giants as a real threat, which could mean that he has faced far more dangerous opponents before. Now, what caught my attention the most in this chapter was how it connects different pieces of the puzzle. When Luffy hears about a man who looks like Shanks, his first reaction is to say it makes no sense because Shanks never mentioned having a family. However, Luffy himself has previously stated that he considers Roger's pirates to be the only family Shanks could have. This is a subtle clue that Shanks may have deliberately erased any connection to his true lineage. Moreover, when we think about Shanks' past, one of the biggest mysteries is his deep connection to piracy from such a young age, being aboard Roger's ship as a child. What would lead such a young boy to be so closely tied to powerful figures like Goldie Roger and his crew, not to mention his mysterious relationship with the world government? Until now, Shanks' past has been shrouded in mystery and filled with gaps, but it now gains a new layer of complexity. If he really has ties to the Figurland family, and therefore to the Celestial Dragons, this connection may have directly influenced his choices over the years. I think this point should not be overlooked. Shanks grew up in a privileged reality, but was able to choose his own path, something that can be seen as both a victory and an ongoing internal struggle between his past and his present. Perhaps the most intriguing point is how Shanks might have been introduced to Roger during the battle against Rox D. Gzebek. As far as we know, Shanks is extremely young, but it is plausible that his family was among those affected by the violence and destruction caused by Zebek's empire during the God Valley incident. During that period of chaos, many noble houses were destroyed, and their wealth and territories were plundered, including those directly linked to the world government, as happened in God Valley. What I imagine is that Shanks lost his family around the same time Zebek's empire fell, leaving him adrift without his clan and without the possibility of inheriting any kind of status or power. Thus, he would have become a war orphan, someone without a powerful lineage to keep him within the circle of the celestial dragons. This could explain the crucial moment when he met Roger. Roger, being the captain of the Rogers and someone with his own vision of the world and the role of the powerful, might have seen in Shanks something more than just a mere child. He could have recognized in Shanks the spark of a leader, someone who, despite being born under a noble surname, had the potential to be much more than just an heir. In many ways, I believe Roger saw in young people like Shanks the potential to shape the future, not by following the traditional rules of nobility or the world government, but by creating their own story. By accepting Shanks into his crew, Roger was not only giving him an opportunity, but also passing on his philosophy that true freedom lay in rejecting the chains of established society. For Shanks, this was a chance to reinvent himself, not just as the child of nobles or someone marked by the destruction of his family, but as someone who could forge his own path alongside figures like Roger, Odin, and the rest of the crew. It is possible that after Roger's passing, Shanks felt the need to understand his origins better, perhaps even considering a possible reconciliation with the celestial dragons in his past. This could, at least in part, explain his visit to Maryjoy's, where he was received as a member of the elite. Upon confronting the realities of that world, the weight of expectations, and the intrigues that permeate the Celestial Dragon's court, Shanks might have felt deeply disconnected, perhaps even disgusted by the thought of following that path. He had the chance to return to nobility, but instead he chose to reject that burden and follow his own journey. This also explains why he might have continued to act with a certain ambiguity regarding the world government, perhaps even possessing knowledge of secrets that other pirates do not know or understand. He knew that facing them directly and absolutely could be destructive, but his balanced stance as a pirate, avoiding total confrontation, might have been his way of navigating between these two worlds without being consumed by either. Furthermore, Shanks' return to the world of piracy, perhaps influenced by a more mature perspective on the system and the world's struggles, could explain why he adopted a more diplomatic and balanced approach toward other pirates and the world government. If he truly held valuable information about the world's secrets, such as the contents of the Poneglyph Stone, he might have chosen a stance of strategic neutrality, avoiding aggressive involvement in direct conflicts. Unlike many other pirates, Shanks always seemed to calculate his actions in a way that prevented major escalations of violence. This leads us to consider the idea that he, indeed, has a broader vision for the future of the world, understanding that the key to true revolution or change is not just in fighting, but also in building alliances and understanding the true mechanisms that govern power. His meeting with Luffy, therefore, was not just a coincidence or a symbolic gesture of friendship, but something deeper. Shanks and Luffy, in very different ways, share a similar mission. Both represent a break from the system Shanks through piracy, armed with deep knowledge of what truly happens behind the scenes of the world, while Luffy does so with an unshakable belief in freedom and justice, yet without the same weight of political responsibility. And in the end, will Shanks and Shamrock face each other? I believe the answer lies in the ideals they follow. While Shanks was able to live outside the chains of nobility and the celestial dragons, Shamrock represents everything Shanks rejected: absolute power, control, and the selfishness of the elite. Their fight will therefore be more than just a physical battle. It will be a clash of philosophies and visions for the future of the world. When that moment comes, I believe Shanks will have to confront his past, his choices, and the price of the freedom he so deeply cherishes. Shanks' story, now intertwined with Shamrock's and the mysteries of the world government, promises to reveal even deeper layers about the true meaning of freedom and the fight against a system that has dominated the world for centuries. If, at some point, Shanks and Shamrock meet on the battlefield, whether literally or figuratively, it will be one of the greatest battles in One Piece. Not just because of the forces at play, but because of the understanding of what it truly means to fight for a new world. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.